I'm back and I set up the controller. I installed all the software except for Ableton Live Lite. I figured most people, if they use Ableton, they already know how that works, so I didn't install that. And I probably won't go through the MPC Essentials software. I did install it and play around with it. It's basically a software version of the original MPC 1000. It's just a lot more organized. It's sort of like them combining a sequencer program like FL Studio with MPC features. So it's too big of a program to go over, so I'm going to skip that, but I will show you 88, Twist, and Hybrid. I think Twist is Twist 2, version 2, and then Hybrid is Hybrid 3. But those are actually pretty good VSTs they threw in, so I am going to go through those. I already have 88 up, and it's basically pre-recorded piano sounds that are really high quality. So when you play the VST, it's supposed to simulate a real piano. It sounds pretty realistic, better than anything I've used before. Like, it picks up subtle movements pretty well. You do have to have your settings right in the actual controller for it to do that. That's probably the only thing I didn't like right off the bat was, let me see if I can find it. Under global, you have basically to get the keys to play the way whatever your playing style is usually like, to get the keys to play that way, you have to go into global, and a couple of pages over there's one that's got curve, gain, and then black and white key options. And if you edit the curve and the gain and all that, you can get the keys to feel however you play. Some people want it to where they barely touch it and it's full blast sound, and others want to be able to pound them and not get too loud of a sound. I'm kind of like that. Like, I want to be able to hit them without it being extremely loud. So I have to tweak those, and I finally got it about how I like. So that's the only thing you'll probably have to edit as soon as you get things set up, is the key curves. And the pads have curves too, but I haven't really had to mess with them yet. The arpeggiator is pretty good in this. There is actually a ton of options for it. If you hit edit and then arpeggiator button, you can choose if you want random, up and down, all kinds of versions of an arpeggiator or options, and then you can choose the range. So if you just want to be 1 or 2 octaves or the whole freaking keyboard, you can set it that way. And if you go a page over, they actually have an arpeggiator pattern built into the screen. So you can turn the knob. It can be up to 16 hits. It's like a sequencer basically, so up to 16 sequencer buttons is what it's simulating. But you can actually edit those on screen, so you can have a whole arpeggiator pattern that you build yourself up to 16 notes. But I haven't actually messed with that aspect of it, but I did actually mess with the arpeggiator. Like, I will do something real quick. Oh, another thing, it has gate and swing options on the arpeggiator options, so if you want it to swing a little bit, that's always something you can add, you can tweak. There we go. And it sounds pretty good, and when you're using synth sounds, the arpeggiator is real fun to play with. Another thing is you can change the timing of the arpeggiator. There's a whole time division section. Basically, you hit this time division button, so you can change your timing of also the note repeat on the pads and the arpeggiator. So I'll do that real quick. yeah, that's all that does. This is twist. Between twist and hybrid, I actually like hybrid more, but twist has plenty of options and it has some good sound. I'll go through some presets. As far as the sound, like browsing through presets, they have it separated in sort of a filter system where you choose, like, if you want a soundscape, I click that, and then you can choose the color of the sound, meaning like dark, bright, metallic. I think I liked this one before. Oh, hit and run. It's more of a sound effect. It doesn't have much melody to it. But it has a good bass sound. I don't know if the camera picks that up or not. Let's see. Leads, maybe. That one's almost a normal synth. Kind of an organ sound though. Rapture. That one's pretty cool. That one's called Nanotechnology. Let's see. Rhythmic might have something at least interesting. That one's okay, you can use that. Synth drum, snare, there's rain. Doesn't really sound like rain, but it's interesting. There's melodic. I should have tried melodic first. Let's see what they have. It's not melodic. Koto. This would be good arpeggiated. Maybe. Maybe not. That's another thing. I'm really used to those mini keyboards, so when you get a full-size or almost full-size one like this, it's something you have to adjust to, because I'm used to being like right by each key, like tiny little micro keys, so that's not really a complaint against the product. I'm just saying if you're used to those tiny kind, you'll have to get used to like this size of a nicer keyboard. And there is aftertouch on these. None of these software programs use it without setting it up, and I haven't had time to do that, so you won't get to see that, but they do have it, and you can actually see when I'm hitting aftertouch, this green light is telling the software or FL Studio that it's getting a signal. I just haven't set it to, told it what to do with that, so There is aftertouch, it's just not going to show up on any of these. But that's Twist. There's not many that I like, that's why I haven't gone through many on it that sound good. I'll go through a ton of sounds on Hybrid. So we'll get to that in a minute. Before I do that, I was going to go over the pads, and I'll show some footage of them. I actually, instead of using MPC Essentials, which is sort of a standalone, I'm used to using the FPC within Fruity Loops, so I just opened that so you can see the pads. So I'll do a close-up real quick. I need to show the keyboard anyway in close view. So there's the pads. The coolest thing as far as visual about them is that you can set each pad's color individually, and you can also set the color shown when it's pressed. So I have it on just like a grayish white, but you can actually choose what colors show for both pressed and just normal. And the way you do that is you just hit edit, click a pad, and then on that screen it'll have the color options. Like, I don't even remember. Oh, I hit pad 4, so here we go. It's on purple, that's blue. This needs to be focused a little better. I'll just hold it farther back. So you can just go through and pick. There's a few shades of each. There's like red, then you go to amber and orange, and then yellow. They probably are hard to tell through this camera, but in person they're definitely bright. Green, blue. It goes through some blue shades like light blue to purple, and then there's pink and hot pink. They're awesome. If you like, I love them, so it's just fun to set it up how you want. I made mine fade. I don't know if the camera picks it up or not, but they fade from a red through some pinks to purple. But they're fun. Go ahead and test them out. Let me see if I can get a nice sharp image so you can actually see them. Alright. I don't know how they compare to the original MPK keyboards because I didn't own one, but overall they're the best pads I've had on any controllers I've owned. They're very solid. They don't push into the slots they come out of. They just stay firm. Like I've had other products where the pads actually push down in the square, but these don't, which I actually like. It makes them feel very solid. And as far as responsiveness, I'd say they're exactly how you would want them to be. And as far as changing that, there are settings to change the sensitivity. There's tons of options, I just haven't gone through it all. Like over here there's 16 level and full level. With full level just makes them all full blast sound, like no matter how hard you hit, and then 16 level will take a note or a sound and rise it up through 16 notes. Let's see what it'll do. Or rather, I guess it's the 16 levels of volume, sorry, because it gets quieter as you go down. But turn that off. There's the note repeat is of course what I was mentioning earlier, that's affected by the time division. So if I hold one of those, I can't do it because I'm holding the camera, but if I were to hold one down and then change this time division, you can change the speed. So let's do like super fast. So that's all that does, but obviously that's helpful if you want that repeating sound function. But yeah, overall, the keys and pads feel great. I like that the keys are a little harder than most as far as hitting them. And I like the stiffness of the pads, or the solidness of the pads. As far as, I haven't used this DAW control, but you're actually able to edit each of these in the menu to be able to send like keyboard controls or computer commands. So it would save you from having to mess with like holding shift. Like I could make one of these be the equivalent of holding shift on the keyboard or hitting down or whatever. So you're actually able to change those and make them fit what you do most often. Like if you're copying and pasting a lot, you can set them for one of them to be like uh, copy and paste basically. I think they're able to do 2 or 3 keys worth of data. So like if you're hitting Control V, you can actually make one of these equate to hitting Control V on the keyboard. I had to look into how that all works. Alright, back again. The only software I had left to actually look at was Hybrid. So as far as the controls for it, it's got 3 oscillators, some envelopes, looks like actually 2 modulation envelopes, 2 filter options, a filter envelope, LFO, amplifier, and then an amplifier envelope. And there's actually an A and a B side, so all of that times 2 basically. Just playing with the presets, they're all pretty awesome just to play with, so I'll get into that. The first one I left up is called Valkyrie. Let's see. Through another preset. They have quite a few in here, and they're separated by like 3 or 4 different kinds of pads. There's action pads, moving pads, dance pads, soft pads, and then you got chords like trance chords, arpeggios. They even have a wobble section that's all either drum and bass or dubstep sounding wobbles. I mean, there's 43 of those, and then they have version 2, basically hybrid version 2 added some more patches to the ones they already had, so they have a whole nother menu for those that's basically newer version, updated versions of all the original ones, I guess. So there's just so many to go through. I'll just pick some random ones. I tend to like the atmospheric stuff, so that's always interesting to play with. That one's just like ghostly stuff. Okay. Unearthly Breath. What's that one? That one's pretty cool. Mellow Beyond Trance Pad. I'll see what that one is. Oh, it's just really simple. They have some of those arpeggiated ones where you basically hold 3 keys down and a whole song plays. Those are pretty fun, but I'm sure people don't like those because they're so easy to basically make songs with. There's transition pad. Yeah, that one's like a whole melody that starts playing. Let's see. Oh yeah, I like that one. That one's nice. That one's called Pulsar Canyon. That one's pretty fun. That's Hard Pusher. Dance pads. Fuzzy or fluffy? I'll try fuzzy. Fluffy. Oh, it sounds like a old organ, but sci-fi-ish. Bells. Oh yeah, I love bells, and they have a whole category for that too. There's like 80s bells and sci-fi bells. Let's see. That one's fun. There's effects. Some of those are pretty cool. Like soundscapes. That one's pretty cool. Cat. Wow. Some of these you don't even, you just hit one key and a million things start playing. Oh, that one's nice and creepy. I wish that camera could pick up the bass. It probably doesn't get the full sound. That one's pretty cool. Space Snow is the name of that one. Thrilling, let's see, Dark Breath Atmosphere. Yikes. That's my fault. Some of these have so much modulation and movement recorded into them that if you mess with the filters while they're playing, you will destroy your ears or your speakers. Sonar. I like that one, it's dreamy. Oh, too fast. Nah, too busy. I'll go through some of the wobbles. They're a little more modern, I guess. Oh, that's pretty gritty. Whoa. For some reason, these ones have really loud sound compared to all the other ones were too quiet. I'm gonna turn it down. Yeah, these are like standard. Some of them are standard, and then the others are just like pre-cut up, sort of like they just repeat a pattern of wobbles. Wow. So the basic layout is you got your mod and pitch bender over here, and arpeggiator, note repeat, tap tempo, latch, all is right there. And all this strip is for your pads, like the banks and the full level and 16 level options. The DAW control is what I was telling you, can transmit keyboard commands. And then of course the pads. Your transport controls, I did have to change a setting when I set this up in FL Studio because the transport wasn't working. Like, you couldn't hit play and have it automatically start playing, even though everything else is, well, the keys and the pads synced up with FL Studio pretty easy. This, for some reason, I had to change a MIDI setting. You just go into edit, hit any of the transports, and then where it says type, you would turn the knob. Oh, you can't even see it. Hang on. There we go. So you would hit edit and then hit any transport key, and when you get to this screen you can change how it transports. The default, I think, was MIDI CC, and in my case I had to have it on MMC/MIDI to get FL Studio to pick it up correctly. I don't know why, that's just what I had to do, and it started working. So a lot of the little things that come up, you just have to experiment like that. If you just try changing some things, you might get it to work. But in case you start it up and you can't get your transport working, that's all you have to do. The next thing, these arrows and this knob just control everything on the screen. The knob selects like variables. The arrows will select actual options, but the knob changes the value. That's what I meant. And you push the knob down to select whatever you have chosen. You've got control banks down here that save your settings, or control settings in a bank. Those are for all of this. And there's also an octave button here. But oh yeah, there's on here there's a preview button that basically if you hold it and move any knob, it'll preview the values on the screen. It'll show you what the value was before you hit the knob and what it currently is. So that's actually helpful. It also tells you the channel, I believe. Let's see, I'm turning the first knob. It just tells you which knob and the value. To see the channel you have to hit edit, then turn the knob, and then it will bring up the type is what it's sending on. Like there's different options there, but MIDI CC is going to be the one you want probably. And then it has the CC number, so what it's transmitting on is CC3. But with most software like Fruity Loops, you can just tweak. There's ways to auto set knobs where you just tell it, like if you turn a knob in a VST software synth, you can go to Tools and Last Knob Tweaked, and then it will let you set it to any, you tell it to wait for you to turn a knob on the actual controller basically, and it will pick that up. So you don't have to know what your channels are and numbers are if you do it the way, the sort of auto link way, which is easier. But anyway, there's the knobs. Let me focus on them. And the sliders. So they all look good. They feel, the sliders feel good, like there's some pull to them or heaviness, but they're not overly sticky or heavy. That's what I was saying in the unboxing. So they're nice and smooth, but they're also not like overly loose, which I've had problems with other stuff, other controllers having loose sliders, but these are just right. And the knobs, like I said, they're about the same. They're just right. They don't bend very much. If you, like, I'm putting pressure on it and moving the keyboard around, it's not bending very much. So really solid construction overall. The keys, pads, knobs, and sliders are all pretty solid. So overall, I would say it's a really sturdy construction. Everything feels nice. It's a nice size. I would recommend it. Thanks for watching.